Hi, everybody. So today's woman of the Bible is Eve. Of course, she's the first one. So Eve means the giver of life, and we know that she is considered to be the mother of all living. We just think, everybody's roots go back to Eve. She's just the mother of all. So we know a lot about Eve. We've probably heard about Eve since we were a child. But thinking about Eve and thinking about her life, it was encouraging to me because she did not have an easy life. Before the fall, she did. Her life was totally perfect. She had the perfect husband, the perfect home, the perfect health, the perfect body. I think you women there can relate to that. Everything was perfect. And then she made the wrong choice. She made a choice to do wrong. And it changed her entire world. And I'm going to back up just a little bit. You know, Adam named all the animals. And he was the one that realized that there was no helpmeet for him. And I think God did that on purpose so that Adam himself would realize that he needed help. And so God created Eve. And it's interesting to think that Adam and all the animals were created from the dust. But Eve was created from a living tissue. That's kind of neat. I think there's a lot in that. But we won't discuss that right now. But anyway, Adam needed a helper. God made him a helper. And a lot of times that gets taken out of context. A lot of times, you know, people think that, oh, she's a helper, so she's not as important. But you know, God created them in his image, and it says God created man in his image, and it specified male and female. So we know that we're created equally in God's image. No one is bigger or higher or more in authority than the others. You know, the Bible says that different times that God helped people. It says God is a very present help in trouble. Does that mean that if God's a helper, that he is under somebody that makes him lowly? No, it just means he helps. And I think we get that twisted around a lot. I've heard this saying, and I can't get it quite right, but it says God didn't take Eve from Adam's head so that she would dominate him. She didn't take him from his feet so that he could trample on her. He took her from a rib that was close beside him, close to his heart, to help him, to be a helper, equal. They each have their places. A man and a woman each has their places, but they are equal. One is not better in God's sight than the other. And I think that's so important in today's setting in different cultures where women are so suppressed. I think we need to remember God created them in male and female in his image. So anyway, so God made a woman to help a man. Okay, so Eve failed, and she had to live with that consequences the rest of her life. You know, she had a son, and she named him something like Redeemer or something like that. She didn't realize that the redemption wasn't going to come that soon, but she still had hope. Even if she failed, she did what was wrong. She kept hope. And also we know that she must have been a fairly good mom, because when God was talking to Cain and rebuking him, he was saying, he says, you know what's right. He says, you know what kind of offering that is pleasing in my eyes. And that tells a lot about his parents. That tells that he got good teaching from somewhere. Somebody was having family devotions and teaching their children about God and the right and wrong way to worship God. So I believe Eve was a pretty good mom. I believe she really cared about her children, and she really wanted them to have the same relationship with God as that she knew was possible. And, you know, I can't imagine the grief and the anguish she went through when she realized that her son was listening to the same person that she listened to, and she knew what the results were. She knew that the death results of the relationship. She knew that, and here she had to watch these results played out in her sons. The one listening to the wrong person and the other one having to suffer the consequences of death. I just can't imagine the anguish and the grief that she felt watching this all play out and knowing that she's the one that did it first. You know, I think as parents, we need to be careful what we do, because our actions and our thoughts, our words affect the children coming along after us, the generations later. It is important what we say and what we do, very important, and we need to remember that. And I just can't imagine what Eve felt watching this happen. But we also know that when Seth was born, she named him, "Thou hast given me a son, another chance." In other words, she felt that she was giving another chance for a redeemer. And it shows that she didn't give up hope. She still had a good relationship with God. Obviously, she was not bitter if she named God after, or she named her son like that, you know, still looking for a redeemer. So in spite of all of her failings, Eve still had hope. She didn't get bitter about what happened in life. She just went on in life. I'm sure she repented many times because of that one wrong choice she made. But she didn't let it stop her. She didn't let it destroy her life, and she didn't let it destroy her family's life. I don't think Eve was bitter. If Eve was bitter, I think things would have turned out a little bit different. But I think we can remember that we all sin. We all have to go through consequences of our sin. We have to take responsibility. You know, in the end, Eve said, "Yes, I did take it. I did eat it." We take responsibility, we forgive ourselves, and then we move forward in a life with hope. We don't stay in that state of unforgiveness, of grief for what we did. We accept that God forgives us, and we leave the bitterness out, and we trust that God's still going to give us his best. Just like she was still trusting with Seth that God was going to give her the best. We need to watch bitterness in our life. You know, we do things, but we have forgiveness. God will forgive us. We can go on in life. We don't have to stay stuck in our sins. So that my takeaway from Eve is that even though we sin, even though we have to deal with consequences in our life that are not fun, there's still hope. There is still things we can do. We can teach our children to do better than we do. Even if they do take our advice or not, we can still have hope. We can still have a relationship with Jesus, and we can still go on. So remember that there is hope even after we have sinned and we have hurt our family. There's still hope. So remember Eve. I remember Eve as a woman that offers hope and shows that there is hope. So go be great. Remember hope.